Elon Musk had crushed the hopes and dreams of anybody who was hoping for a refresh, another refresh of the Tesla Model S or Model X. However, is he telling us the truth? Let's talk about it. I'll tell you what we know up to this point. I'll tell you what he tweeted last night, and we're gonna try to make some sense of it and see if the refresh is really coming or not. All of this is coming up next. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything moving forward. And I want to give a quick shout out to one of my newer Patreons, Ash and Hugo. Thank you so much for supporting my independent channel. And of course, as a perk, you get to watch this live. If you want to join, patreon.com/E4Electric. All right, so as we know, we just had a pretty big refresh, but a mainly technical refresh for the Model S and Model X. They were way too outdated for anyone's taste. The sales were going down, and finally they updated the motors, they've updated the battery. Mainly, they didn't put the 2170s in it like Model 3 has, but they've updated. So the range went up to 370 miles. The charging rate went up to, I believe, 250 kilowatts. So quite a few different things. My friend Eli Burton, who's going to be here tomorrow, actually, for his weekly segment, Supercharged with Eli Burton, he set a record, the fastest quarter mile on a production stock Tesla, an electric car in general. So it just became much better. But people have expected a little bit, a couple of other things, and of course the interior refresh and maybe even an exterior refresh. Now, there are a couple of reports that have been out there, and we'll mention that in a second. But Elon Musk came out last night and said, no. She basically said there is no refreshed Model X or Model S coming, only a series of minor ongoing changes, and they've been doing it all the time. Most significant changes past few years was to use high-efficiency Model 3 rear drive unit as SX front drive unit. That went in production 3 months ago, and that's what we're talking about, the Raven update. Now, he went on and made a couple of other statements, mainly saying yes or no to some of the other questions, but one of them was, will we be seeing an interior revamp anytime soon, though? Appreciate the reply. He said no. Now that's a big one. And then I think there was one more. That's right. Incremental upgrades. If you want the best Tesla Model S or X, you will be waiting forever, as Elon stated before, said somebody. But Elon said exactly. Now, I know Tesla's sort of policy has always been like, we're improving our car as soon as we can have some improvement. I personally don't like it. I like to know that, when I'm making a purchase for 3, 4, 5 years ahead, especially one of the most expensive purchases people make, I'd like to know what it is that I'm buying and what it is that I'm not buying, what's coming up, so I can time my purchase and get the features that I want. I also want to make sure that my car, doesn't depreciate as fast. So all of this information I like. Even with cell phones, people say, well, cell phones go out of style all the time. But even with cell phones, like my Pixel 3 here, this camera that's in here, it's going to be like this until they produce the next generation Pixel 4. So even though they will improve software here and there, maybe minor changes inside of the phone, the camera is going to be the same, the body is going to be the same, everything's going to be the same. And I know that, okay, every 9 months or so, will be a new model, and then I decide, do I want to buy a brand new top dollars? When I go 1 or 2 versions back, my mom just bought a very first version, which by the way is not that bad, and she only paid $200 for it, and she's very happy with it. So I want to make decisions about my car just like I made about other cars before, the gas cars, and about my cell phone, and about pretty much everything else that I buy. That's my view. But Elon says there's no refresh. However, there are a couple of reasons why people doubt that. And, I'm assuming that he knows more than we do. Of course, he does. But it would be really, really bad if he said no refresh and boom, there is a refresh. But there are some strong suggestions that there is one at least in works. Maybe he'll put a lid on it, but let's revise those. And of course, before that, a quick reminder that this video on this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out the all-electric SUV coming to the US and Europe at the end of next year. And so you should make your reservations right now, especially because it takes about 60 seconds of your time, $0 of your dollars. And when you do get it, it's going to be about $45,000 starting price before the incentive. So If for some reason you haven't reserved yours, go ahead and browse to the description of this video and do it right now, or finish watching the video at least. All right, now one of the reasons that we know that the refresh was at least it works is this picture and a couple of other pictures from electric.co. And once again today, I think Fred said that, hey, this came from a very reliable source. So they were having it in the works. And of course, a lot of us don't like it because it looks like Model 3 and it feels like a downgrade almost. The larger screen, is horizontal, too far to reach on the right. A lot of people don't like it, and I hope they don't make it, but it does seem like there was a credible information. And of course, another thing that happened, and this came from Like Tesla Kim, she said about a month ago or so that they have an inside source, which I believe she does. I mean, she's one of the most popular Tesla YouTubers. I met her in person. She gave me an interview. It's on my channel. Her and her husband were very, very nice and pleasant to be around. So I have no reason to not believe her. And it was as recent as 1 month ago. She said that the inside source says that they are working on quite a few things in a battery improvement, which I guess Elon kind of admitted that might actually be updated. So now there's one thing that if I was to play devil's advocate, I would say, well, Elon just wants to make sure he sells these cars, because if he says, well, there will be a refresh, people will stop buying them. And as you know from the sales numbers, and thank you to Inside EVs for doing this every month, Model S did not recover as much as Model X recovered from its slumping sales in the beginning of the year when it was super outdated compared to the new Model 3. And even after the Raven refresh, it still, as you can see, did not even hit 2,000 in June, which was a very intense month for Tesla, setting the record in sales and deliveries and so forth. So I hope that's not why he's saying that, because he will really look really bad, if indeed the refresh will be coming. But at the same time, it's been almost 7 years. It's time to not only refresh the insides, but maybe even outside. That's what a lot of companies do. However, Tesla is not. A lot of the companies, as a matter of fact, opposite in many ways. So maybe this is one of those times where they'll continue going with the same interior for a while. A lot of people wish it was more luxurious. I also wish it was a little bit more luxurious, but I don't think it's a major problem for Tesla. And if they keep it, I don't think a big problem. I think the Model S right now is, once again, one of the most amazing cars in the world. And I think people buying it will be very, very happy. Minus the customer service, but that's a whole different story. All right, let me know how you feel about it. Do you think Tesla really needs to do the interior refresh, or do you think they're fine? While you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe to our free newsletter, which essentially features a bonus story at the end of each week. Don't forget to become a patron and watch these videos live. But looking forward to your comments. Other than that, I will see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.